I congratulate. Now, it's not just CEO of the Western Parkland City Authority, but Chair of the new federal government's Infrastructure Advisory Panel for Western Sydney that's got to go and get us the big bucks in the budget in May. So, congratulations. There are some questions as to why Parramatta, Cumberland and Bankstown are considered Western Sydney in that, but we'll take that up in another forum. But good luck, Sarah, to you. I know Lindy and Andy Marks and others are on that panel helping us. So congratulations, Borge. So good luck, and we'll be seeing a lot of you between now and May next year. Rob, before you go, I'd like to say you're the first Northern Beaches waxhead to win the Patrons Prize for Western Sydney, but Mike Baird might have just beat you to it. He quit before you. And we have a rule, don't give them a prize till they're leaving, because it tends to get them in trouble. If you congratulate public servants and politicians from industry groups, it tends to be, why? What have they done for them? Well, we know what you've done for us. You helped us to redefine Western Sydney. And if the election probably of the O'Farrell government started that movement, it's greater planning, the establishment of the GSC, and I recognise Jeff Roberts, the Chief Commissioner's here, Sarah, its former founding Chief Executive, and Lucy, who was to be here to do this, but is OS. That really changed stuff. So maybe from your perspective, when you started this, we easily talk about Western Sydney now. 10 years ago, it was just the western suburbs, remember? How far we've come, and from branding, structure, substance and everything. When you were sitting around as part of those early cabinet discussions on a GSC, how bizarre a concept was it? And maybe you should leave the broader portfolio area. What do you think still left? What's the note you're leaving for the man or woman who follows you?
Well, look, there's plenty still to do. I think some of the missed opportunities relate into reforming the way in which infrastructure is funded. We need to get real about that because we've still got a gap in terms of, we know what needs to be done, but there's a temporal gap between building the suburbs and getting the infrastructure that they rely on. Either the infrastructure is provided too early, or more likely it's provided too late. We've got to match that better. The other thing is local government. We constantly say local government, you've got to need to provide more housing. We don't actually ask them to do it. If you read the Local Government Act, it's not part of what we ask them to do. So there's a big ticket of reform there to actually look at local government as a real partner and actually give that legislative expression as well. So there's a lot to do.
At the moment, they want you to give them more planners. Well, that's
true.
It's part of the challenge. I'll save the Labor guys' recognition to when Chris Mintz up, but I'm just recognise Stuart Ayres, by the way. You might have heard of, young bloke out of Penrith. Hopefully soon again to be the Minister of whatever he wants to be, but for now, very proudly the member for Penrith. Mate, thank you for being with us and for the partnership you've driven on the ground as blokes and planning at this level. Rob, we call you now the active Minister for Transport, but it's almost an apartment structured around you. It's almost lots of transport ministers and cities, whatever. Are you comfortable now that we have a unique situation in America? This would be a city government running what the state does here, so it's our structure. Are you confident that it's now the concept of city shaping? I mean, you've invented placemaking at precincts. If those two words have just become de rigueur in New South Wales, so you're not at a precinct, move to one. If you're not being place-made, what's wrong with you? But are you confident now that it's not just fashion, that there's an embedded structure of a concept of urban policy, cities policy that survives whoever's minister, whoever's in government? Or
So the concept here is, and I love that Sarah picked up on that idea of the places in between, because placemaking is based on the spaces that don't get thought about. But the economists say, you only intervene where there's to secure public goods, and they're things that the market won't provide by themselves, things that are non-rival, non-exclusive. And public space and public parkland and great spaces is the definition of the public good, and that's why we need to do it, because if government doesn't partner with academe, with industry, with community to provide these things, they won't happen. They won't happen organically just because they do need to be designed. Once they've been designed, they work entirely by themselves, but you do need to put some design thinking into it. And it starts, they're a shared space for the community, and they're so important because it's where our democracy thrives. Can I just be indulged for one moment, because I got an award, so I can. You mentioned Stuart. There's a lot of my parliamentary colleagues here, and they're all amazing people. Stuart Ayres is an amazing leader. He's an amazing member for Penrith. He's got a huge future in politics. One thing I just wanted to share with people, because he's been a passionate advocate around the cabinet table for Western Sydney, One little thing you may not know, I just want to share it. Fernhill Estate, an amazing piece of now parkland that's been secured in public ownership in perpetuity because of Stuart Ayres. He's done a whole lot of huge, amazing things, and he won't tell you about them, but that is something really precious that wouldn't have happened but for him. And future generations of people in Western Sydney and families who don't even exist yet will have this incredible resource because of Stuart's intervention. So I wanted to acknowledge that.
I think the Panthers won the premiership because of him too, twice. The last one for you, my friend. The gig, sadly, is timed with your planned departure from politics, March 25 next year. This award, and they've walked in the shadow of giants who've had this award for public administration that we like to recognise and realise that we as an industry and a sector, you guys have to legislate and execute. And your contribution to public administration and beyond that, public thinking. And I think we don't honour enough public thinking and we demand too much execution. But this room wants to know what you're going to do next. Is there a plan? They can make applications to you, they can join their boards, he hasn't mentioned one German philosophy yet. He can come to your house and teach you about great European philosophy to you within. But do you think yet where that brain's going to be, how that level of public service or the privatisation of Rob Stokes goes on?
The challenge for everyone in this room for all of us, is to keep learning, keep growing, keep changing. Now, the general wisdom of corporate boards is 9 years is about as much as you should ever spend on a board. I'm very mindful that in March, I'll be in the cabinet for 9 years. It's time to move on. And so that's really the start and end of my thinking. Mike Baird, who you mentioned is a mentor of mine, said just run to the finish line. So I'm going to keep running, and then I'll jump off the cliff and see where it lands. But that'll be exciting.
Careful, the cliffs are high up your way.
Yeah, that's right. And just one more thank you to all of the public servants in the room that I've had the honour to work with. Mentioned parliamentarians, but we get to do amazing things, whether in government and opposition, because of the great people who support us. I've got Benedict Collin here. My only one plea to Chris Minns is Tahi is actually a really amazing opportunity, and don't miss it. To provide social, affordable, inclusive housing, you don't realise what an incredible vehicle it can be for you. So I'd urge you to just think that one again, because I think that could be really powerful. But I see Alex O'Mara. There are so many people who have done amazing things in local councils, in the public service, and they never get the plaudits, but they do all the hard work, and we just get to stand on the shoulders of giants. And I think it was Goethe who said that, so I got a German.
Just got it in. You'll be a great loss, sir. Your contribution to Western Sydney, an unlikely hero of the West, and your contribution to thinking, a new thinking about great city planning, is something we weren't going to let go unrecognised. Thank you for your time, and thank you as you're running to the end. The ultimate legacy could be in social housing. The sort of news about Tahi having 30% social and affordable housing targets above old transport assets. That's why you need something like a Tahi. That's why you need a Rob Stokes driving, and I'm delighted. I think the opposition's even adopted or already confirmed it ongoing. We cannot continue to build fancy big homes for us and let everybody else to live in public squalor. We have to change the way we do social and affordable housing, and we have to use government assets to drive that, and support for private developers to back that in as well. That's great. I think that will be one of your great legacies, mate. Thank you. Good luck and Godspeed.
Thanks.